What's the most illegal thing you've ever done, NSFW? I had forgotten all about a gram baggie of MDMA in the coin pouch of my wallet and carried it around at all times for a few months. When I found it, my jaw dropped. I had made 4-6 flights into or out of Logan Airport in that time. A day after the Boston bombing, I took a bus back into Canada with 100 plus mg of Ritalin I didn't have a prescription for in my bag, which they of course searched through. I'd completely forgotten about it. Luckily I'd wrapped the baggie in a Kleenex and stuffed it in my wallet, and when the guy took it out I said, "Oh, you." Sorry, as if it were a used Kleenex, which of course nobody is going to pay much attention to. I swear this 10-minute event took 3 years off my life. Canadian here. When I was 18, me and 2 friends went to a club in Florida where you had to be 18 to get in but 21 to drink. You had to get a bracelet from the bartender who would check if you were 21. I casually walk up to the bartender and ask for a bracelet. He asks to see my ID. I slide the Canadian driver's license over to him and he looks confused. He says here you're only 18. I explained to him that in Canada we have the metric system, so I'm really 22. I started talking about the difference between kilometers and miles, fluid ounces and milliliters, and he just gave us the bracelets. When I lived at the dorm in university, I was in the basement with a friend one time, and the exact change light was missing on a soda machine, and we could see a circuit board through the small rectangular hole. So we squirted some water in there, and it started beeping. We then found that it would give us a soda every time we hit a button. No money required. Cool, we loaded up. After that, a group of us would go out and find soda machines around campus and stock up on sodas. We found that it was only a particular type of machine that would work, but there were plenty of them. After a couple weeks we noticed signs on some of the soda machines offering a $500 reward for us. So we quit. Turn self and get $500. I see nothing wrong with this. The old Walmart trick. Broke into a gravel pit and operated a huge front end loader after finding the keys. In Hankinson, MN, some kids did that. There was a key shack and it was winter. They had a demo derby with front end loaders causing millions in damages. It was in the middle of winter and the mechanics and foreman said they should find them and hire them. We can't get those pieces of shit to start and run in the summer. Edit. Hankinson is an ND. Our Minnesota crew was working there. Me and a couple of friends were bored during summer break of high school one year and found an empty construction site and stole all of the cones and road closed signs. We then drove to a friend's neighborhood that only had one entrance and one exit and blocked off both. Then sat in the middle and watched as residents tried to enter their neighborhood, then go around only to find that side blocked too. We left before the cops showed up. We also took an industrial sized roll of saran wrap and blocked off the drive-thru at McDonald's by wrapping it from pole to pole. The roll of saran wrap got us into a lot of shenanigans, but it was put to good use. When I was in junior high, I got up in the middle of the night, walked to the golf course, and jerked off on the green. I don't think anyone saw me, but if they did, they were probably too shocked to do anything. I have no idea why. I think it was just one of those idiot teenage boy things. Edit. K. I'm watching Donnie Darko this weekend, so I know what you guys are referencing. How many strokes did it take? I was driving erratically and hit a small bush owned by the city. Got the FCK out of there. Got chased down by a do-gooder and was charged with hit and run on a bush. Went to jail. Paid a fine. Paid for the bush. Waited for the new bush. Called the city and they planted one. I stole that mother effer and planted it in my own yard. Can't believe some random citizen actually got you into trouble for that. Paid inside at a gas station one day. Put $20 on pump number 5. It went to 20.02. I just left. I live a boring life. Shipped a pound of MDMA to my house from overseas. I was staying at a friend's house who was out of town. A few friends got together and we started drinking. For some god-awful reason our 15-year-old selves were like, let's throw a Molotov cocktail. Full stop. His mother was a teacher, so we got an Arizona tea glass bottle and filled it with her surplus of dry erase marker remover. We walked to the park in the neighborhood, lit the rag on fire and chucked it. But the bottle didn't break. We went back home defeated. As we are walking up to the apartment complex, there are 2 entrances. Our friend starts walking to the other side of the complex, lights the other rag and chucks it at a dumpster cage. The whole dumpster catches on fire, engulfing the wall. We ran immediately to our buddy's apartment. Looking out the window we could see the huge flames. God, we were not smart. Held enough cocaine in my hands to guarantee me a lifetime sentence in my home state with no possibility of parole. Edit. At the time, anything over 640 grams was instant life sentence. Nice try. On the 4th of July in 2010, my friends and I were lighting some fireworks off. One, the fireworks fell over and set fire to a tree, which in turn fell on the golf course it was standing on. Huge damage to the course, but I ran away. Lots of friends got fined and had court dates because fireworks in New Jersey are illegal. Open bracket. Edit. If you live near Princeton. I responded to that call to put it out. I went to apply for a job at a local border patrol liquor shop. I didn't realize that once I dropped my resume off in order to get back into Canada I had to go through customs. Stupid me completely forgot about the quarter-pound of weed and my bong the trunk of my car. I put on my stone face and smuggled that quarter-pound like a boss. In Europe, they call it a royale of pot. Edit. Thanks for the gold, Marcellus. I'll still win that boxing match. The music on my phone. I mean, it's not necessarily bad. I started counting my total stolen from iTunes and in-app purchases and whatnot from jailbreaking. Recently hit the $200,000 range. I went into Saudi Arabia with a box of wine in my back seat. I drove into Saudi Arabia completely forgetting that I had recently purchased a box of Peter Vella wine and didn't unload it at home. I had a craving for Dunkin' Donuts one day. And since they don't have that in my country, Bahrain, I decided to drive across the border into Saudi Arabia and buy myself a dozen. I go through customs. Enter the country in which possession of alcohol will get you jail time plus lashes on your back with a whip. Crucifixion style. Buy myself some goddamn Dunkin' Donuts and went back across the border. Only when I was in the safety of my alcohol tolerating country did I remember about the wine. I proceeded to shit my pants at what would have happened to me if I got caught. TL. DR almost got jailed and whipped for Dunkin' Donuts. I made a U-turn on the Golden Gate Bridge. Threads like this are why people are forced to kill their partners in crime. Bypass security on school's network. And made an account with administrator privileges with the username of penis. I made a PVC GPS guided ballistic rocket. My friend stood out in our school's soccer field about a half mile away from my house and it landed within 20 feet. During a couple month stretch a year or so ago I made, sold, and smoked DMT. I have a friend that would be interested to know how one makes DMT. I jaywalked diagonally across an intersection at night, only to realize halfway through there was a cop car right there. They didn't do shit. Edit. Canadian. And I mean it's only a problem when there's traffic. If it makes sense to cut through the road like 2 AM at night with clear ass visibility. Like my case. No one's gonna give you shit for it. Spray painted a pot leaf on the water tower. And to say TV doesn't influence you. Did it look like a green hand flipping you off? I won a donut in a roll up the rim cup at Tim Hortons. I only go to Tim's in the morning. So when the FCK am I gonna use this coupon? I decided to try sneakily use it to buy a coffee instead. I went to a Tim's that I never been to nor returned to. Asked for a large coffee. Gave the lady the coupon facing down. Took my coffee and drove off. I heard her say, wait. This is for a donut. But I didn't stop. My heart raced for the rest of the morning. Canadian true crimers. Mile High masturbation. Edit. People from Denver. No, not your Mile High. No weed was involved, and shitty people know my account name. Edit 2. Well, it wasn't illegal until after 9/11. Thanks a lot, Bin Laden. In 9th grade I stole a dozen CDs from a store once. The thing is, I didn't just pocket these suckers and walk out. I stood there and slowly undid the wrapping of the plastic and the peeling of the security tape off of every CD case and just popped the disc into my pocket. I stood there for like 45 minutes doing it. All I could think about while walking out was that place had some shitty customer service. I mean, I was in that aisle for nearly an hour and not one person asked me if I was finding everything alright. Edit. Holy shitty, this blew up. First 5 hours up I only had 90 upvotes. 5 hours later I'm at 1281. Edit. After HS I actually got a job at this store and worked there over a year. And 7 years later I still regularly listen to most of these CDs, one of which is my favorite album of all time. I bought drugs from a shady drug dealer on the streets of Shanghai. Drugs equals death penalty in China. Not really. Trafficking large amounts of narcotics equals death penalty. Small amounts of weed hash whatever equals pay off the cop. Source. Boy. I'd really like to hear the argument behind drugs equals death. I thought my government was silly. I'll have to do some googling statute of limitations before I can answer that. Edit. Nothing. Never done anything illegal. I danced at prom. In my town our charter still has a provision that says dancing is immoral and illegal. I live in the town from Footloose minus Kevin Bacon. If Kevin Bacon isn't there, then that place has nothing to offer. You may as well just leave. Edited someone's resume on a school's computer. Smuggle drugs across the Mexican border. See, it is not illegal unless you spell border correctly. The cops came to a party my house was throwing. The cops put me in the back of their car as they wrote me a ticket for unlawfully loud noise, unlawful deposit of litter, and my personal favorite, public urination or defecation. Apparently as the host of a party you're responsible for your guests' actions. Anyways. Earlier in the night I was doing some blow and still had some left in my pocket. The only thing I was thinking the whole time I was in the cop car was how to get rid of the coke. I decided to gum everything left in the bag. PL. How is it your fault if your house was throwing a party? I evaded a police car who was coming the other way on the interstate. I was going about 95. I had just passed a turnaround point about a mile back and there was an exit a mile ahead. Got off on the exit, parked in a random person's driveway nearby, and the cop flew by with his lights on. Punched a guy in the face at a bar. Knocked him out cold. He was carried out on a stretcher. He deserved it. I have recorded and rebroadcasted games without the expressed written consent of the NFL. I've been stealing sticks of RAM from nearly every computer I use at my school. There are probably 6 computers that have 4 GB of RAM that used to have 8. If how severely punished I was for my actions is any measure, then my greatest crime was to get married. I killed and maimed many sailors. A Mexican. Doubled the speed limit on a motorcycle. Many times. That's legal. You only have half of the wheels of a car. Therefore you are allowed to spin them twice as fast. Had underage sexual contact with a woman. I was the underage one. Nice. TL. Doctor assaulted a guy. To be fair, he broke into my GF, at the time, S house and left a sandwich with an apology note. He was an ex. A few hours later and she had eaten this Subway sandwich, as it was food. But he probed over text to see if she had. Then the epic "how's it feel to know you swallowed my semen?" I saw him 2 days later and he was with his current GF. Can we please just laugh about this? was repeated twice obnoxiously, and I saw red and beat the dude in front of everyone at a park and casually walked away. With the kid in the park commenting yo, swag. Was not worth the court costs etc, but got off with an absolute discharge. Why the FCK would she eat a sandwich someone left after they broke into her house? Money laundering. Keep on forgetting to take out my money every time I do the laundry. I sold pot on my college campus that I bought with financial aid money I received to go to school. I stole a diamond watch from a yard sale type store someone was selling for $500. Turned out to be fake and I couldn't even get $5 from the thrift shop for it. I once said I was above 18 so I could watch an enthralling documentary on lesbians on the internet. I wasn't 18. Trafficked almost a half ton of weed from the Mexican border to northern Florida in the late 90s. Got ratted out and subsequently spent the early 2000s in prison. I used to sneak out and steal my grandma's car when I was in middle school. I would go do hood things with my friends, like smoking massive amounts of weed and hanging out with convicts that were 3 times my age. I also used to deal drugs in the bathroom. Middle school was a weird time for me. Edit. I pissed on the sidewalk from the 10th story roof of a campus building of a college I was not attending while on a lot of LSD. FCK throwaways. Go big or go home. Stole about $50 $200 a week while working at I'm not telling you where by not ringing up orders and pocketing the cash. I worked there for 4 years in high school. Stole for maybe 3 years. I probably took about $10. 000 or so. Well, I honestly don't give a shit about your rug now. I once injected an entire marijuana. I probably shouldn't post this using my normal account, but I'm super late to this thread anyway and too lazy to make another account. I brought heroin into the US from Mexico when I was using drugs. Also the drugs were in my ass. You choose. Helped convert a 16-wire mod chip for the original PlayStation down to 8 wires and sold tens of thousands of them to people to remove copyright and regional locks on their units so they could play backups or imports. Same with PS2. Xbox, we completely read that. Xbox 360 tagged devices and helped convert the PS3 USB hack to a software exploit. Hacked DirecTV cards and was the original group to release the Who hack 2 weeks after Black Sunday and sold hardware to decrypt it to thousands of people. Created a cheap solution to hardware unlock Apple iPhones so you could use them on any network and bypass their lock to AT&T network. Sold a few 100,000 units on eBay and Amazon. I really hate it when hardware is locked down and there is free transmission signals beamed at your house and you can't see what it is for free. Close bracket. 195 on 15 freeway 3 AM, no other car in sight and a BMW V10 M6. Edit. I felt like it. Probably murder. Ha. Checks out. Redditor for 126 years. I downloaded a car. Dude, stop. You wouldn't download a car. I stole some money from my mom's purse when I was 16. Not sure if it's illegal in the eyes of the law or if she ever realized it. But damn, I've regretted that moment ever since. It's like a stain in your memory of your innocent childhood that you cannot erase. I tried to legalize gay weed. Marriagelize leguana. Cannabis use. One time I smoked pot off a hooker's tits. At 16. Bribed a guy outside the liquor store to buy us a bottle of Jose Cuervo. Then did shots in the passenger seat of my friend's Monte Carlo. I cut the limes. Tapped salt onto his hand and poured us shots as we drove around dirt roads for a few hours. We took turns driving after a bit. Weaving back and forth across the road. Careful, sort of, to pull all the way over for oncoming traffic. Don't remember how we got home. Probably mischief night when I was younger. Me and my buddy would go out with backpacks full of toilet paper, shaving cream, a few eggs and 1 year a can of spray paint. One of us spray painted a phone number of a kid from our school on the road. The toilet paper shaving creme stuff was more annoying than destructive. Well, I've done a lot worse things legally, but we can't talk about that. I made a Club Penguin account without my parents' permission. More than 70 kilometers per hour over the speed limit. Highway in the middle of nowhere with no one anywhere near me. It makes absolutely no sense for me to be going so damned slow. We seriously need to re-evaluate speed limits on our highways. They were set decades ago when car safety was far worse. However, I do something completely safe and that'd have me losing my license. Car. And a day in jail at least. I do agree that with no one in sight it's kinda no problem, but in most of Canada there are loads of animals that could jump out on the road at any second, and a speed over 130 is most likely going to kill you instantly or give you life-threatening injuries. But as to the speed limit, yeah, it needs to be raised at least to 110 km per hour, 120 max insertion parts.